Hello friends, welcome to the learning platform Claim IAS. Today we are back with a new topic that is Aristotle theory of slavery. Basically friends, here we'll talk about two category of slave. First one is natural slaves and the second one is slaves by law. So basically our lecture will revolve around slave of nature and not prisoner of war. Here prisoner of war is not considered as slave because they are persons who was brought from defeated side of war, and they are basically soldier class, and they have courage to take decisions. Therefore they are not slave by nature. So here friends, according to Aristotle, nature has made two types of persons. First one is slave by nature and master by nature. So here, who is slave by nature and master by nature, we'll understand very briefly. And also friends, how one can differentiate slave and masters. There should be some criteria. So here, masters and slave are differentiated based on their qualities. On what qualities? Let us understand here, friends. Those who are mentally strong and reasons and courage is prominent, then he's ought to be the master. Basically, here, friends, masters are the one who are supposed to take decisions. Hence, those who can take decisions as well as have the courage to stand by the consequences of the decisions are considered as master. But here, if we see, what are the qualities of slave? Those who are physically strong are meant to be slave by nature. So basically, friends, here courage is also important characteristics. Why? Because if we do not have courage, we will not stand by the consequences of the decision, and therefore we will not be able to take any decisions. Therefore, they are considered as slave by qualities. And now we will understand why one is considered as slave on the basis of their natures and why one is considered as master on the basis of their nature. Aristotle wants to understand a masses. Actually, Aristotle wants to understand the masses of nature. That is, nature has made some people physically strong so that they can perform physical work for the longer durations. Here, friends, Aristotle comments and says God has made one physically strong so that they can perform physical work for the longer durations. So that's the reason they are considered as slaves by nature. And if we look towards master class, some are mentally strong because nature wants them to be involved in the works that requires mental works or work for the welfare of the state. Basically, here Aristotle says one has reasons and courage prominent in them. So the nature wants to involve them in the works that requires mental work or work for the welfare of the state. So that's the reason they are considered as master by nature. And look, friends, here Aristotle justifies the institution of slavery in two categories. Here it is natural. First of all, it is natural, and the second, it is useful for the various institutions. So, on the basis of utility, Aristotle has justified the institution of slavery. Here, if we look from economic perspective, friends, physically strong slaves means who are physically strong, they are capable enough to work for longer durations. So those who are physically strong can work for longer durations and can contribute to economic growth. So basically, here's Aristotle says, one he is physically strong, they can perform for the longer durations, they can work for longer durations, and they can contribute in growth of the economy. And here, friends, if we look from state perspective, that how slaves perform a vital role for state, it is useful for state if masters have slave. See, friends, if masters have slave, slave will work for him and can afford to make qualitative participation in state. Why? See, friends, here basically what happens when the slaves work for masters, master can use those golden time for the welfare of the state or can make qualitative participation in the state. So that's the reason slaves are important from state perspective also. Now, if we understand, friends, how slaves plays a vital role in the life of masters, basically here it will give opportunity to master to enhance his virtue. So what happens here when every small work is done by the slaves? Here, master will have enough time to focus on his virtue or to enhance his virtue. Or and the next, if slave, see friends here, slaves are even helpful for slave itself. Why? Because if slaves work for the interest of master, here in the company of good masters, at least slave will have opportunity to develop some virtue. See friends, if we stay with master here, there will be some influence to the slave, and slave can learn lot of things from masters. Therefore, slave will have opportunity to develop some virtue. Here, Aristotle not only talks on the basis of utility, he also keep in mind about humanity. He suggested various certain reforms on slave. That is, Aristotle knows that slaves are not being treated properly. Hence, he suggests that masters should take care of slaves. Here, he has concern about slave that slaves are not being taken care under the master. So, it's a responsibility of master to take care of the slave. And the second one is, if slaves develop virtues of reason and courage, master will free them. So here, friends, if slaves are working with masters, so there is high probability that slaves will enhance his virtue and therefore master will free him. And here, friends, it's in quotations by Immanuel Kant. He says, each man is an end in itself. No one is out to treat other person as a mean to an end. Here, he talks about each and every person has his own dignity. No one is ought to be treated as a mean of utility for others. He says, every person has their own self respect. Therefore, no one should be treated as a mean of utility for others. So, here we complete our lecture based on slavery. And next lecture will be on theory of property. So, stay continued, friend. Thank you.